Direct Connection is made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you. Live from Maryland Public Television, this is Direct Connection with Jeff Salkin.
Hi, everybody, and thanks for tuning in for Direct Connection. Coming up tonight, a Hollywood ending, a career on the silver screen in spite of a common disability. That is ahead. First tonight, the epidemic that no one can stop, the thousands of lives being lost to opioids. Joining us for this week's Your Health segment are Dr. Christopher Welsh, Associate Professor of Psychiatry at the University of Maryland School of Medicine and Medical Director of the University of Maryland Medical Center's Substance Abuse Consultation Service. Also with us is Donna Jacobs, Senior Vice President of the University of Maryland Medical System. Thanks to both of you for being with us.
Thanks for having us.
Doctor, you've been in addiction medicine for 2 decades. What are you seeing now?
Seeing pretty much the worst that we've ever had. Certainly in the Baltimore area, which we've had heroin for decades. More problems with it, more overdoses, more overdose deaths, and the rest of the state. I mean, we've had more opiates even starting in the 90s in suburban and even rural areas in Maryland. A lot of other parts of the country really didn't see it until the last decade, but certainly those numbers all over the state, but certainly here in Baltimore, really bad.
Your folks sent over this chart, which is going to be hard to see on TV, but you can plainly see 2 lines just taking off in the last year or two. Those 2 lines are heroin and fentanyl. What's happening with those substances?
So just so people are aware, because fentanyl is a very good pain medication, but that fentanyl, almost all of it is illicitly manufactured, most of it in China. It's being brought into the country and then either included with heroin, or sometimes people are buying and there's no heroin, it's all fentanyl. And fentanyl is much more potent than typical heroin you would buy on the street. So someone who's used to whatever amount of heroin they're using, they use that same amount of pure fentanyl and they overdose.
I've heard that one of the things that's happening with this wave of fentanyl coming into the country is that, it's supply and demand. There's so much of it that it's gotten cheap on the street, and a high that used to cost somebody 15 or 20 is now 5 or 10. Maybe they're taking more, and maybe that's why we see the fatal overdoses.
Yeah, it's not knowing what you're getting. It's even, we've seen people at university in the emergency room who don't use opiates. They only smoke marijuana. We're finding fentanyl in marijuana now. It's in with cocaine. So people that wouldn't even ever use opiates are coming in overdose because it's in the different drugs that they're using.
All right, we'll talk more about the medical side of this, but the medical institution is also, Donna, working on a community response. What do you have in mind?
Well, we started a program in June on mental health and addiction. It's a community conversation where people could come in and get answers, to speak with physicians and have a real dialogue. That's what it is. It's not an academic program. And it was so successful, and there were many topics that we presented that time. And people asked us, what are you going to do in the future? So we decided to unbundle it, unpackage it, and do one topic at a time. And the first one that we're going to do is on November 29th. It's at the Student Center right across from the University of Maryland Medical Center Hospital. And it's on addiction and substance abuse. We'll talk about the opioid epidemic right now. We'll talk about what is addiction and substance abuse, recovery, and as well we have one of our physicians who grew up in the household of 2 addicts, and he's going to talk about survivorship and moving on with your life. He's written a book, and he'll have that there to autograph and talk to people about. And then we also have invited some vendors and exhibitors from the community who have services to offer our attendees. So it'll be a good day, but the important part is dialogue and being able to get an opportunity to ask physicians questions that you might not have an opportunity to ask otherwise.
You're also broadcasting this closed circuit across the state?
We will. So the University of Maryland Medical System is a 14-hospital system extending from southern Maryland to Harford County to the Eastern Shore. So we'll have it broadcast in a number of locations: Prince George's County at Bowie State, with our new Capital Region Health, formerly Dimensions, on the Eastern Shore at Chesapeake College, down in Southern Maryland at Charles Regional Hospital, and in Towson at St. Joseph's Medical Center.
Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question about opioid addiction, defeating that on an individual basis, also a community basis, give us a call. We'll have the number up on the screen. You can also tweet your questions. The Twitter address is @MPT News. Doctor, is there anything from a community standpoint that you want people to understand better? Any misconceptions, any message that really needs to get out?
Well, I think, and people, we've been in this epidemic now for a few years, so I think people are aware, but just to remind people that there really are no boundaries. This is hitting across the socioeconomic spectrum, all over the state. We're seeing heroin, which for many decades had been largely an inner city, poor, minority thing. Now we're seeing much more out in the suburbs and rural areas.
And there's some sensitivity to that. I mean, it's not a medical issue, but some feeling in the community that more attention is being paid now that it's no longer just an urban thing. I mean, the numbers point to it being just a spectacular problem everywhere, but you're treating it from a statewide perspective.
Well, from the numbers perspective, between 2015 and 2016, there was a 66% growth rate in the number of overdoses in the state of Maryland. So you can see you showed that chart, but you can see the dramatic increase all across all of our communities.
Yeah, no question, it's a problem. Let's talk to Ed in Cecil County. Ed, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Why aren't these doctors who distributed massive amounts of opioids and the big pharma that got them involved in that going to jail?
Thank you very much. Do you blame Big Pharma for this?
Well, I think there are a lot of sources of the problem, but certainly back even in the 80s, we started treating pain more aggressively. In the 90s, and Purdue, one of the biggest manufacturers then, really did push, and I think didn't kind of represent all of the issues that they were aware of at the time. But it's also partly a much larger societal issue that here in the U.S. we have come to expect that your pain is treated in a certain way. So I think now everyone needs to change, the physicians and...
What's good medical practice right now? We happen to have a member of our team sitting in the control room, shoulder in a sling after rotator cuff surgery, with some minimal, opioid, the stuff that's mixed with Tylenol. Is that still a prudent thing to do? Because hearing all this, many people are scared of it.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing now is that it's a multimodal treatment of pain, so that opiates may or may not be a part, certainly more using ibuprofen and other things like that, but much more focus needs to be on other things, physical therapy, just relaxation and kind of more mindfulness around how you think about pain and experience it. So that's what really, there's a big push now in educating physicians and medical students that we can't just treat pain. We have for the last few decades with mostly opioids. So we really need to look at it as a multimodal treatment.
As you might imagine, it's a big policy issue, and it's an issue that the legislature focused on quite a lot this past session, the HOPE Act and a number of other measures. But one of the requirements is that doctors prescribe the lowest dose of opioids necessary in order to get a patient through.
And for a shorter period.
For a shorter period of time, right. And also look at the general registry on what medications the patient may be on.
Let's take a call from the Eastern Shore, Somerset County. This is Kathy. Kathy, thank you for the call. Go ahead.
Hi, I was just wondering, is there any correlation between childhood sexual abuse and people that have come into opioid abuse?
Kathy, thanks very much. In response to other types of trauma than pain.
Yeah, there's certainly a high amount of many different psychiatric issues that correlate with addiction, but certainly childhood and other abuse. We see sexual, physical, even, certainly in Baltimore City and growing in the suburban and rural areas, just the traumas related to, certainly in Baltimore, the high, gun violence or murder rate is, mostly related to the drug trade. And so a lot of people are losing family members, losing friends to overdoses, to the drug trade. And so trauma at various points in someone's life really does contribute.
Let's focus on treatment for a minute. Donna, I want to ask you about availability across the system, across the state. But in your experience, doctor, what works to get somebody out of this addiction?
I mean, a lot of things. If someone can get out of, again, in Baltimore City, so many people live in just terrible neighborhoods. So it'd be great if everyone could get out to a nicer area, but many can't. A lot of evidence for the use of medications. So methadone, Suboxone, naltrexone are the 3 FDA-approved medications in the U.S.
By themselves or with some other sort of talk therapy?
Yeah, generally they're done in the context of counseling, could be group, individual, but there are also, there are primary care physicians who can prescribe buprenorphine. And someone may just have the counseling when they meet with them. They may go to Narcotics Anonymous meetings. So a lot of different ways, but and not saying that everyone needs to be on medication, but there's, I think, throughout society a large stigma against the medications, and I think it's important that people realize that, especially for opiate addiction, that they're really proven to be helpful.
Ms. Jacobson, where do we stand on availability? I mean, the problem has been just exploding. Has treatment been able to keep up?
Well, within our system and many of the other hospitals in the state, all of the services that Dr. Wells spoke about are available at the hospital. But we also want to make sure that we're educating primary care physicians on the many remedies that they can offer to patients when they need assistance. And that's, again, a dialogue that's important between experts in the field, psychiatrists, and those who really specialize in substance abuse, and those in the community who may see patients for any number of things.
Let's take a call from Baltimore County. This is Kitty. Kitty, thank you for the call. Go ahead.
I just wonder why the hospitals are prescribing so much of the opioids. Somebody told me they got a bottle full practically, and they took 2 of them. And also that why aren't they prescribing marijuana? Medical marijuana, evidently, as I understand it, and I'm no doctor, does as well and better than the opioids.
Kitty, 2 good questions. Thank you very much. First off, the medical marijuana isn't quite out there, but your views on that. And is there any evidence that the medical community as a whole is writing prescriptions for lower doses and shorter periods?
Yeah, we definitely know nationwide and certainly here in Maryland that we've significantly reduced the amounts of opiates who we're prescribing. Now the state medical assistants, there's a limit, and you have to get special authorization to prescribe over a certain amount per day. So there really have been efforts to significantly cut down that.
Right. Exactly.
As far as the medical marijuana, so Maryland, it will be here very soon. It's a difficult situation because at the federal level, it's still an illegal way to use marijuana, but states that have had medical and states that have decriminalized have definitely seen reductions in opiate overdose. Seems that people are using it more to treat their pain and less opioids. So, I mean, right now we don't know if it's a causal, but certainly there are states that have seen that correlation in reduced opiate overdoses when they have more marijuana.
But as Dr. Wells says, in the meantime, because of the federal restrictions, hospitals, physicians are a little bit leery to move forward, even if the state says yes, fearing liability, prosecution.
Interesting stuff. Let's take a call from Carroll County. This is Steve. Steve, thank you for the call. Go ahead.
Yes, my question is, what's being done on a corporate scale to limit the production of pharmaceutical drugs? My reading suggests to me that the top 3 pharmaceutical companies last year made hundreds of billions of dollars in profits, and a lot of it are from these very drugs that people are getting addicted to.
Thank you very much. Yeah, is it a top-down or bottom-up approach to limiting the number of prescriptions?
Well, it really needs to be both, but certainly at the top, there are more efforts. The DEA is putting in limitations on how much can be produced of different opioids. There's much more, scrutiny of what's going on with the big opioid producing companies. So certainly, what we can do as clinicians and, at our level, we definitely want to do from, I guess, the bottom up. But I think the federal government really is looking at the top as well now.
Let's squeeze in one more phone call. Washington County, this is Jesse. Jesse, you're on MPT. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to know if you noticed a difference between years ago, there wasn't a lot of help for people suffering from opioid addiction. And, the outcome to somebody who was addicted to drugs was going to prison. And, the judges would say, well, you got a drug problem. And drug addicts would say, well, I need programs, I need this. And they say, well, we got your programs. They're in the state penal institution.
Jesse, thank you very much for the phone call. Certainly your profession has changed a bit.
Yeah, certainly, there's much more treatment, but we also are trying some innovative things. In Baltimore, we right now have a program called LEAP. It's Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion. So people that would have been picked up on minor drug charges are now being picked up and instead diverted into the treatment system. So that's being piloted now in West Baltimore, and the hope is to be able to fold that out to other areas of the state.
And before we go, Ms. Jacobs, tell us again about the program that's coming up and how people can get involved in that.
It's Not All Wounds Are Visible, a community conversation about addiction and substance abuse. It's November 29th. Lead location is downtown Baltimore, cast across the state. And you can go, we ask people to register, it's all free. You can go to ums.org/communityhealth to get more information and to register.
And UMS has
UMMS, sorry.
2 M's in UMS.
Right.
Donna Jacobs, Dr. Welsh, thank you very much.
Great.
Appreciate it. Coming up, how an actress and author is bringing attention to dyslexia. We'll be right back.
Got an unused vehicle going nowhere? Donate it to the one place that can take you any place. Visit mpt.org/vehicles and support the programs you love on MPT.
The MPT app puts our programs right at your fingertips, so you can choose when to watch, what to watch, wherever you want to watch it. Download it now.
What happens in Japan and Asia matters to me. And with NHK World's newsroom in Tokyo, I get the news live from Japan right at the start of my day.
New ideas come out of Asia all the time. NHK Newsline reports on business, technology, and world events from Tokyo to Bangkok.
Once in the morning gives me a heads up on the competition.
Every hour on the hour, the news I want from Asia.
Watch NHK World now on Comcast Channel 268 and Verizon Channel 480.
Are you turning 70 and a half this year? If so, you generally have to start spending down your retirement account. Even the minimum distribution can place you in a sticky situation. Luckily, you can now use your IRA to make tax-free gifts. Gifts up to $100,000 will never count as income, but always make a difference. That's icing on the cake.
Make your gift for this year before December 31st. Visit mpt.org/support.
This is a box that showed you a world beyond your own. It was just a box, but the world has changed, and so have we. And now the box can be almost any size or shape. And you decide what you want to explore. Anytime, any place. Break out of the box with PBS.
Well, you've seen her in movies like Airplane, TV shows like Mary Tyler Moore. Joining us now in the studio is Joyce Bulifant, actress and now author of My 4 Hollywood Husbands. Joyce, thank you for being here.
It is an embarrassing title, but it's that way because a friend suggested it, and I said, no way. And then a week later, I thought, yeah, but it might sell books.
Well, what is the book about?
Well,
does the title fit?
I think it does, because all 4 husbands are alcoholics. And it's about, really a story about codependency. And just listening to the former people that were here in The Good Doctor, I think a lot has to do with people not getting help, is other people enabling them, like me.
Is that what codependency means?
To me it does. I mean, and also I think it also means, besides enabling people by your behavior, accepting their behavior or denying their behavior, which I think is pretty easy to do because you don't want to deal with it.
Let's pick up on a little bit more of your story, which involves Baltimore, but what brings you back to Maryland this week?
Well, really it was to meet you.
Of course.
Of course
it was.
And to help with the Dyslexia Foundation, the International Dyslexia Foundation. I am dyslexic, and I think I might have a, what is the word, propensity?
Well
Is that the word? Thank you.
Sounded good to me.
There goes the dyslexia. To people who are drinking, and I think they're drinking because they're sad and they want to make their life better. And my big ego says, I can do that, which is silly. But I think being dyslexic, that I went through a lot of sadness and thinking I was stupid. And I didn't want any other child to grow up thinking they were stupid.
Boy, the world of dyslexia, easy for me to say, has changed so much.
Well, yes, and I hope I had a little bit to do with it, because long, long ago, maybe 25 years ago, I started a program called Public Awareness for Dyslexia. And it was all about the positive side of being dyslexic. I did a tape called Different Heroes, Different Dreams. And that was about adult dyslexics that we know today. And then the other one was called The Gifts of Greatness. And that was about people like Einstein and Edison and Hans Christian Andersen, who had trouble learning in school. It's a different way of looking at life.
To do what you did, to accomplish what you accomplished with that hurdle to overcome. I saw a clip of you on a game show, and it was one of these game shows where you had to write your answer on a card before showing it to the world.
It
must have been tough.
It was terrible for me. And that's why I came across as really the dumb blonde, and I thought I was always, until in my 40s I found out I was dyslexic. But what I had to do, you have to write down the answer that the contestant has come up with, or something, they want to match yours.
Right.
So and you have to fill in a blank. And so often I wouldn't know how to spell what it should be. So I would make up something kind of close that I could spell, and it really didn't make much sense, and people would laugh and say that's stupid. And one day I had to write down. There was no other word I could think of, and I couldn't spell it. And I thought, well, Gene Rayburn would come by, and you'd have to take it out and show it to him and then put it back. So I thought, when he comes by, I'm just going to quickly take him and do like that. And so he came by, and I went, like that. And he said, oh my gosh, dummy got it right, walked away. Then he stopped in his tracks, turned around and said, let me see how you spelled that. And I took it out, and he took it, and he showed the whole world how it hurt terribly, but everybody laughed, everybody enjoyed.
So in your role as Executive Vice President of the Dyslexia Foundation, is that what brings you here? Is there a book signing? I should have asked
there
you
was
this
a book signing
before we went on.
Yes, no, that's okay. There was a book signing at Barnes & Noble, and that was for the International Dyslexia Foundation. We kind of branched off, the Dyslexia Foundation branched off from that foundation in order to become more involved in research. But now we do outreach, and we do all kinds of conferences with the doctors and teachers.
And life's pretty good right now. I met your husband.
Isn't he wonderful?
Husband number 4
Husband
is
number
doing
4.
great.
Husband, and I'll tell you why. Because he is an alcoholic, a recovering alcoholic. He has been sober 21 years. And my children absolutely adore him and respect him because he was able to go get help and stick with it.
What was the hardest thing in writing this book?
Spelling. No.
We have spell check now.
No, I know that my husband's my spell check.
You know, it's funny, when I was typing up some notes for this, I can't type the word dyslexia. And,
oh, good, I'm glad.
But, you know, spell check to the rescue.
It helps
Any acting? What are you doing these days?
Well, I've been doing a one-woman show called Remembering Helen Hayes with Love. Helen Hayes was my first mother-in-law when I was married to James MacArthur. And there's a lot about Jimmy and our relationship in the book. And then I'm doing one called My Life Upon the Wicked Stage. And a lot of this all stemmed from wanting to make money at benefits.
Joyce, we're going to have to leave it there.
Okay,
Joyce Bulifant,
yes.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank
you
you
for watching Direct Connection, and have a good night.
Your health segments are a co-production of Maryland Public Television and the University of Maryland Medical System.
This program was made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities.